Okay, thank you, Patricia. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have been discussing yesterday two project ideas. One from Ethiopia, as my colleague says, and the other is from Uganda. And we have got a very good comments, recommendations, and suggestions by those people who have strong ideas and knowledge about Ethiopia, and those people who have ideas on this marketing-driven tourism ideas all over the countries, all over the world. Therefore, according to the ideas that we have received, just Ethiopia is a country which has many heritage sites, world heritage sites, and the issue is now how to change this opportunity to market-driven, strong business linkage creativity. So just we are accepted and taken as important inputs what we have got from the discussion on yesterday. And upon that discussion, we have about 5 basic recommendations from the discussion. So one of the recommendations is we understand that Ethiopia could benefit from the experience of our two neighbors, Kenya and Uganda, especially regarding institutional infrastructure. So it's a good recommendation that both countries are located in East Africa. We are neighbors. We shared similar values, traditions, and historical factors. So the recommendation is good and well taken, as the fashion industry, the project of fashion industry in Kenya and Uganda will be a good input for us. The second one is both countries, Uganda and Ethiopia, could both benefit from the Turkish. Yesterday, the Turkish presenters now presented how they have gone through the tourism industry. Therefore, this is a good input. Now, we can take the example of Turkish, especially mapping cultural heritage. The mapping cultural heritage sites with corresponding available products and services. Therefore, now, for us, especially for Ethiopia, now we are going to map the important cultural heritage, what products they have, and what services they have, and how we change this opportunity for a market-driven economy. Therefore, this is a very important recommendations, as Turkish is also our good partner. We can take the example of Turkey to develop our tourism industry, market-driven tourism industry from Turkey. The third one is, as one of the previous speakers now told us, it's a good opportunity that the 9 UN agencies are joining forces to making tourism work for development, as delivering as one UN. So it's a good news for us, Ethiopia and Uganda. Now we could benefit from this new initiative. The fourth one is based on their experience in tourism and collaboration with ITC. The CBI has expressed their interest in supporting initiatives such as those that have been presented yesterday or so. Mr. Dickman, who has a project in Ethiopia, now presented very well, and he knows very well. So it's also another very important opportunity for us, as CBI is also working in collaboration with ITC. The other one is further consultations. This is a very important point. Should be done at country level to ensure that all relevant stakeholders are involved, and that needs to be addressed are well reflected in the final version of the project proposal. So now this is very important for us, because we should consult and get good ideas from all the stakeholders, the local community, the tour operators, the government, the public sectors, so that we can develop the projects in a way that the ITC and the other donors will accept it and implement it. So these are some of the recommendations that are given from the yesterday's discussion. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, before I ask Ambassador Felix Mosha to come forward, I want to remind you all that on your desks, there are actually evaluation forms. And, you know, ITC has to evaluate itself and evaluate this event. So I would ask you, please, to look at those evaluation forms and make sure that you fill them out before you leave the room, because we do want to know what you think about what has happened in the last day and a half. This is very important for us to learn as we go forward. So I now ask Ambassador Mosha to come forward and talk about the horticultural workshop.
ITC Executive Director, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, my name is Felix Mosha. I'm from Tanzania. I spent a good part of my professional life at the UN New York and returned to Tanzania to be a farmer. So actually, that's how I earn my living, and the opportunity of a farmer coming to stand here is certainly very rare, as you'll all imagine, because I normally don't have opportunities these days of dressing the way I am at the farm. Well, let me start by thanking ITC for making this possible. For making it possible in the sense that in Tanzania, the reality is that if we can deal with integrating the horticultural subsector into the tourism sector, we will have saved a great deal of those situations where we are empowering the poor and we are really eradicating poverty. And that's why in the meeting we had yesterday, we had before us the whole question of what are the practical measures and strategies for integrating this subsector to the large sector of tourism. And we had the benefit of participants from stakeholders of both sectors. And we were particularly appreciative of the fact that Turkey was represented by a large number of participants, and given its unique experience, this helped the meeting a great deal. Distinguished participants, the meeting proceeded by reviewing currently what are the current situations pertaining to the backward linkages to this sector, to backward linkages to the tourism sector, and what has been the experiences of countries, in particular Turkey, but with particular reference to Tanzania. The meeting noted that many of the countries reviewed, tourism was presently a leading sector in their respective economies. And actually, in the case of Tanzania, tourism had overtaken agriculture and was accounting for that at 2.5% of the country's GDP, while agriculture had moved back to a second place and was only accounting for 26.6% of the GDP. The meeting also further noted that while tourism in most countries, including Tanzania, was the fastest growing sector in the country's economy, in the case of Tanzania, it so happens also that the horticultural subsector is also the fastest growing, and in fact is expected to increase threefold in the next 5 years. But it's important to emphasize, as was done at the meeting, that this development, which is critical for economic development, eradicating poverty, and lifting some of the groups in the agricultural subsector, would only be possible if this integration between that subsector and tourism can be successful in order to serve as a platform for domestic and global competitiveness. It's important to elaborate here. This platform is important because if a horticultural farmer in Tanzania can sell the product to an intercontinental hotel or to a Sheraton hotel in Dar es Salaam, that means this product can be sold anywhere else. So the test case is that domestic marketplace where you are then dealing with the buyers of high quality products, because those are the key to the successes. And that's why we say the success of that expansion will only depend on using the hospitality sector as a platform for domestic and global competitiveness. Now, against this background, out of these two fastest growth poles in Tanzania and in other countries, it was noted that while post-harvest losses were being experienced in Tanzania of up to 60% of the horticulture products, for lack of ready markets to buy these products, it was also recognized, in fact, that the service sectors, including hotels, were also at the same time importing some of the products. So based on the presentation of the stakeholders from these two subsectors of tourism and horticultural sector, the difficult experiences each of them had experienced were also illustrated. But one thing came out in the course of our meeting, that the two sectors were anxious and committed to work together, save for the fact that certain challenges and obstacles needed to be ironed out in order for this to happen and such backward linkages to be realized. So accordingly, the meeting reviewed the constraints preventing the effective complementarity in these two sectors, with a view in particular to enabling ITC, which has been supporting Tanzania considerably, to be able to design a project which would not only address the constraints Tanzania is experiencing in this regard, but also can be replicated to apply to other situations, taking account of various different conditions and characteristics of each of the situation in which it may be applied. In conclusion, the meeting determined that the key challenges in integrating horticulture into the tourism sector required properly targeted empowerment of farmers through their associations, because in most cases, if not in all cases, these farmers have their own associations. And the key, therefore, is how to empower these associations, as well as coordination of the activities within the framework of private-public partnership. In my case, it's only the 3 Ps. I haven't dealt with the other one. That should then include strategic government interventions and support in the implementation of the two sectors' integration. And the meeting therefore recommended as follows. 1, given the huge number of producers, potentially almost 4 million in Tanzania, there is a need to have intermediary organizations in the supply chain to absorb, to clean, to pack, and deliver to hotels and supermarkets products from the SMEs in the horticultural subsector. 2, governments working with private sector as a whole must assist SMEs, producers, to organize themselves into commercial producer groups that can supply sufficient volumes, good quality products, and varieties required by the hotels and supermarkets chains at all times. We have emphasized the work commercial producers. The meeting noted that in order for horticultural producers in Tanzania, and for that matter elsewhere, to be successful, horticulture must be a business. It cannot continue to be a hobby. It cannot be just somebody planting something somewhere and going to do something else and expect that to be successful. And if you can make it a business, then all those farmers involved will be able to take it seriously, and it will have a positive impact on their lives. So we emphasize the word commercial. And then 3, hotels, tourism organizations, supermarket chains, and producer groups and governments should form a steering committee that serves to guide and support the industry in its development agenda in order for the producers and the hotels alike, including other services, to be competitive in the regional and global market. We felt that these groups have not had really a serious meeting point. And if you had a committee that can bring all of them together, it will make it possible for them to iron out periodically whatever was standing on their way in terms of integrating their two sectors. And 4, governments should gear its tourism promotion strategy not only to promotion of the tourist sector, as it is mainly the case, but also to the promotion of integrating horticulture in the tourism sector. As you will all know, governments have tended invariably to appear to be promoting tourism, which is perfectly in order. But there has been less effort in promoting the backward linkage of the economy into the tourism sector, which is then critical for countries to really realize the benefits which come from tourism. 5, the ITC project on linking horticulture to hotels in Tanzania should seek to strengthen the support platform of HODECT, which is the organization in Tanzania, which is an apex body and an anchor organization for coordinating the various associations, government and private sector included, to commit themselves to make this horticulture hotel linkage a reality within the shortest possible time, and we thought an 18-month timeline would be sufficient. And finally, the participants at the meeting felt that the national stakeholders and ITC may now proceed to finalize the project document, which it has been trying to see how it can address the specific constraints in Tanzania by utilizing some of the ideas which emanated there and integrating the shared views which came out of the meeting, and then probably make this project a more successful instrument for solving the problems in Tanzania, and as I said, for being replicated elsewhere as the case may be. Thank you very much.